Welcome back to Tech, Tesla, and Trends. Tonight I thought I would discuss one of the items that I've mentioned before. It's part of the multi-dimensional game of chess that Elon plays. And it begins with that first step of vision, the long-term vision that Elon has. His time horizon is in the decades, potentially centuries. Though he might not see that. But certainly I believe his plans are looking at that and considering those from a perspective of where the world will be. So I believe that vision is that first and most important dimension that Elon is utilizing. So the first of those items that I see him utilizing, and you'll notice them in some of the commentaries and trends and explanations that he tries to explain. But the first one that sort of the subsection to this vision is be aware of trends, hence trends. I think that this is a bigger issue than most people are considering. But number one on that list is cost curves. Cost curves are, they will eat your lunch if you're not paying attention and you're already an established player and perhaps not innovating as you should. That's as things decrease in price, your overall you're going to struggle if you're not keeping up with where the industry is at. The next trend that is important is sort of that of exponential growth. As you look at where as EVs took over in the industry, initially there were only a few thousand of them, maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and now getting into the millions. As you look at that, there's a clear point or a clear trend that's occurring, but a lot of people are still, at least up until probably 4 or 5 years ago, we're saying 2050 or 2040s. That's not going to be the case. EVs will be very much the primary vehicle, primary new manufactured vehicle in the 2030s, probably 2030 itself. If not 2030, it'll be shortly thereafter. It won't be 2040. Anyone planning on making an ICE engine vehicle in 2035, Toyota, you're out of luck. Anyways, that's a wrong way of going about it, and that's a trend that being unaware of or not being fully engaged in understanding will cost your business and hurt your market share. But it's something that I think Elon is fully aware of and is constantly looking at where exponentials are occurring and how he can apply not only capitalize on that, but also try to utilize other intersections of additional exponential curves on top of those items, or on top of another existing exponential curve. And where those multiple technologies intersect is another area of potential profit, as he's done with SpaceX and rockets. The ability to land a rocket, who knew? Before Elon, it was purely science fiction. It's not anymore. Everybody's trying to do it. So the next one is to be aware of solar cycles. Now, somebody might wonder, why on earth would you be discussing that? Well, everybody likes to talk about global warming and how the climate is changing. Why? It's a very clear reason why. The Earth moves in cycles around the sun. The sun itself is It gets hotter and colder, and that impacts how the world is. If you're ever interested in why I say that, take a look at the hunger stones. I think at that point you'll be able to piece together or begin piecing together grand solar minimums and maximums. And from there, you will begin to understand a lot more. There's a lot more to what the sun does for this planet than people are even contemplating. Because it's obvious. It's the sun. It's no big deal. It is. It's a bigger deal than we give it credit for. And it's a trend that if you don't understand, you'll be fighting against. Freedom quotient is the next trend. And that freedom quotient is an item that is largely why Elon bought Twitter. The ability to discuss and to move and to freely exchange ideas and conversations with people. It matters. It's important and it's critical. The next item within that awareness of trends is population growth, or the lack thereof. Elon is one of the few that's saying, hey, the world population is declining. Yes, you've got this residual, but it's peaked. And when as it peaks and comes crashing the other direction, do we have enough people to handle all of the other things that are occurring in an economy? Thank goodness he's working on Tesla Bot, because quite frankly, I don't believe anybody's listening to him. But this is an important conversation that Elon keeps bringing up, and there's a reason for that. Population matters. Without sufficient population, we're screwed. And the final trend that I've observed and pulled out from his tweets and other conversations and videos I've watched of him in interviews is a technological growth curve and being aware of that. And that's not just an exponential or a cost curve. It's realizing that over time that certain, with rights law or with other aspects of that, how technology interacts and builds upon itself, and how things that were previously not possible suddenly become possible. And that is an important part of this overall conversation of learning to play chess at Elon's level. The first part is having that vision. The next item on there that is kind of like a subsection B for me is he uses time as an advantage, and that gets into that technological growth curve, but he uses all of these trends in tech and society, global, the solar cycles, to advance. He expects those areas where others are working on it to advance and to grow while he's working in another area. And then he's able to then come in and utilize those from a perspective of trying to assemble and build out the vision that he's laid out. And then the next sub item underneath that is that he begins now. Time is a critical portion of all of this, but beginning now, because time waits for no one. It rolls forward. And you have to build your goals, set timelines, and make sure that those checkpoints exist where you're going to find profitability. And Elon's done just that with Tesla and with SpaceX and other companies. They've got little projects that they work through, and they build on them and create profit checkpoints, just like from the Roadster to S and X, and then 3 and Y, and we'll get into Cybertruck and Semi. But the points, the third section underneath there for that long-term vision is his focus on what matters. And this is something that people often confuse because he's not doing what other people do. He doesn't do the same things the experts expect. And that's a clue. Those that are saying, hey, why aren't you doing it the way everybody else does it? Pay attention. Let the man work. He's in the arena. He has an idea, and he's pursuing it. And if he's wrong, he'll change that. He'll change fast. Turns on a dime. That's another one of those hallmarks. But your goal, you have to focus on what matters. And that goal, your goals need to be very clear and have requirements and allow for innovation to occur through the work of your people and also for technology as it grows and changes. The next part of that is that your tasks need to be flexible. And if something changes, that requires you to change. And that's the one thing I've watched with Elon. If something changes, he'll change the way that they're, as a company, the way that Tesla or Neuralink or any of the others are responding. And the final component that I see for that long-term vision is that he's bold. You have to be bold. You have to imagine what's impossible today and imagine it as possible. What is it that you need to make that happen? And guard your mind against the demons and the dragons that are out there and the trolls. Of course, Elon is a pretty darn big troll at times. So I'm not too worried about that one. Innovation and focus allows change as required. That's the final part of that. And as you look at his focus, that long-term focus, it's making humanity multi-planetary. Electric cars on Mars is part of that. And, global internet connections and free speech. This is all part of that master plan. It's part of making humanity multi-planetary. Some people will get it. Some people won't. But this is part one of Elon's multi-dimensional chess game. And I'll cover the additional 9 other parts that I have teased out of watching Elon for all of these years in future videos. I'd love to hear your perspectives, comments, things you think I got wrong or things that I've missed. Feel free to toss those in the comments, especially any sort of links or anything like that. I'd love to see what you think, and we can have that conversation in the comments. Or you can find me on Twitter.